Less than a week after the Christchurch terrorist attack, New Zealand Prime Minister Jacinda Ardern announced sweeping reforms to that country's gun laws.
Every semi-automatic weapon used in the terrorist attack on Friday will be banned in this country.
New Zealand is also introducing a gun buyback plan that could cost as much as $140 million. Even though gun ownership is common in New Zealand, there's almost universal support for the ban, which Parliament is expected to make permanent in the next few weeks. That's in stark contrast to the US, where even small gun control measures run into fierce opposition.
This is temporary for about 2 months. They're remodeling our old office into a newer facility.
So they've got you cramped in here, huh?
Yeah.
From his tiny basement office, Bob Songer is making a big mess of things.
You want to introduce me?
Oh yeah, this is Deputy Bones here. Let me get him in full uniform. So it's kind of cool.
I see he's armed.
Yes. Yeah, all good deputies would be armed.
Uh-huh.
He's the sheriff of Klickitat County in southern Washington, and he's refusing to enforce a new gun control law, approved last fall by voters across the state, because he says it's unconstitutional.
Local law enforcement now fighting back in some cases.
His stance has made him a star on the right.
It's now. Sheriff, good morning to you.
Good morning, sir.
The new law, 1639, raises the age to purchase a semi-automatic rifle to 21, expands background checks, and adds new rules for the safe storage of firearms. Some of its provisions went into effect on January 1st. The rest start in July.
On a good day, maybe 30 minutes.
It'd be one thing if Songer was acting alone. But across the country, non-compliance has become the go-to response to gun control, with more than 100 counties across at least 7 states declaring themselves sanctuaries for gun rights. In Washington, more than 20 sheriffs are following Songer's lead.
Taking rounds?
Yeah, how you doing, buddy?
Good to see you. Well, I really appreciate you doing what you're doing there in the fight for us. I really think that's great.
You bet.
Stepping up and doing the right thing. So
You don't mind him putting the county on the map, putting you guys out there?
not at all.
Yeah.
I think it's great. I appreciate it.
Well, thank
Doing the
you.
right thing, and I really feel that way.
Thank you,
Thanks,
sir.
Scott.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
What gives you the right to decide what laws you want to, enforce and which ones you don't? I mean, you're a sheriff, but you have a responsibility to uphold the law, don't you?
Well, you do if the law is legal. If it's an illegal law, why would you enforce something that you believe in your heart is an illegal law? Even if it was a legal law, you have discretionary power. You're not required to make an arrest. And as sheriff, as an elected, only law enforcement official in the entire country that's elected by the people. The distinction to me is if it affects the Constitution.
In your interpretation.
Yeah, absolutely, in my opinion. And I fully realize that the governor and the attorney general has a different.
They do not like your opinion.
I know they don't, and I don't like theirs.
1639 passed with 60% of the vote, much of it from cities like Seattle and Olympia. But in rural counties like Klickitat, it lost badly. People there see it as more evidence of liberal values crushing their way of life.
This one here is a coyote or cougar kill, where they ate most of it. And this one here got his eye poked out, and if you feel down there, you can feel where the eye socket was broke by a raven or an eagle or something that killed him while he was taking a nap.
Wow.
Bruce Davenport is a cattle rancher and a volunteer sheriff's deputy.
Here's the posse uniform.
He says regulations from Olympia have made it harder to protect his livestock.
This isn't real clean, but this is kind of my office. Here's some guns here, and the big guns are all locked up in the gun safe.
The actual provisions of 1639 probably would not affect you directly. You already have your guns pretty much locked up in a safe way.
Mm-hmm.
You're not under 21.
Mm-mm.
You already have background checks.
Yes.
So you would probably not really be directly affected by it.
No, probably we wouldn't. But you give them one gun, they're going to want all of them.
That's how you see this.
That's how I feel.
Attorney General Bob Ferguson thinks a lot of the backlash is bluster. In February, Ferguson sent a letter to every sheriff in the state, warning them their counties could be financially liable if they fail to uphold the law.
Given the statements by some local law enforcement officials like, hey, I'm not going to go bust into someone's home to check if their gun is stored safely. Well, no, the initiative doesn't require you to do that. It doesn't ask you to do that. Nothing about the initiative wants you to do that. So we thought, let's just clarify some of these things and let's just focus on what is the disagreement.
What we hear when we talk to some of these sheriffs, they say that they do have discretion, and they also say that they see this as unconstitutional. So why should they enforce something that they see as unconstitutional?
Well, that's convenient, the latter argument, right? If you personally believe something to be unconstitutional, therefore you don't enforce it. We've had a death penalty in our state for many, many years. I'm personally quite opposed to death penalty, but my office helps defend death penalty convictions. To me, where I draw the line is what's discretionary and what's not. You will see in the state 18-year-olds, 19-year-olds, and 20-year-olds who can no longer purchase an AR-15. That's going to happen, period. You will see in the state enhanced background checks done for semi-automatic weapons, effective July 1. That's going to happen, period, full stop. If that means the state has to come in to perform those enhanced background checks, that's what you would see.
Back in Goldendale, Sheriff Songer is all the more popular for defying the state.
Thank you. Thank you.
There's a little bit of a feeling like, are we seeing the beginning of an insurrection? Is this a rebellion?
You would hope it wouldn't get to that, but I could almost guarantee you I would be risking deputies' lives to go confiscate firearms at some point. I mean, that would be, to me, if it got to that point where they were actually confiscating people's weapons and stuff, it'd be a civil war. There's no question in my mind there'd be a revolution.